Bill Thompson for Outside Insiders. I've been away on a 2-week road trip up to Albury and Sydney and Nelson Bay. Had a wonderful time back in Melbourne, just in time for a bit of a cool blast, 13 degrees this morning. The weather report last night suggested there might even be some snow on some of the peaks with this cold change. On the way back to Melbourne last night on the Hume Highway, we drove past the Colourin Range wind farm, which is there's quite an extensive array of wind turbines along a ridge. I may have looked up the generation capacity, the electric generation capacity of the Colourin Range wind farm, but I don't remember what it was. I used to live in Newcastle in the Hunter Valley, and we were surrounded by I don't know, 7 or 8 or 9 or more mega coal-fired power stations which produce all the electricity that local industry and residences needed. But some institutions, including their ABC, think that coal is an abomination. The port of Newcastle was still jammed with bulk carriers waiting to load coal to be shipped to international destinations. And there were, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 coal ships waiting offshore of Newcastle to enter. I remember the good old days was what was called Rand's Navy. There was, I don't know, on occasion 30 or 40 coal ships waiting to come into the port. But while the ABC is cheering on Australia shutting down coal-fired power generation, shutting down coal mines, China's still building coal-fired power stations, and China's emissions, I believe, are more than the rest of the developed world put together. So whatever Australia does is worth 2/3 of 5/8 of bugger all. That's not to say that I'm against newer technologies. I'm totally for them. I used to read science fiction books 50 years ago about a then future when all cars were electric and the power was broadcast to the vehicles from remote locations. We haven't arrived at that situation yet. I'm looking forward to the day we do, but in the meantime we're stuck with the reality that we have. Anyway, the site of the wind farm at the Colourin Range reminded me of a report a while back about Bob Brown, the former Greens hero, who had objected to a proposed wind farm development on Robbins Island off the Tasmanian coast, and apparently somewhere near where Bob Brown lives. I googled when I got home, and sure enough, there was a 2019 article in the Guardian newspaper, so you know it's got to be true. that Bob Brown did indeed oppose the Robbins Island wind farm development because of the risk to migratory birds and I think other environmental aspects. If I have a chance to chat with Adam Bant, I'm glad to see that you didn't come by public transport, mate. There's a tram stop right there. The Greens should be using public transport, mate. Morning, Bill Thompson for Outside Insiders. I've had something of a disjointed morning, Outside Insiders, today. I came down early in hopes of encountering any of the studio guests or the what might have been the studio panellists, politicians. I did encounter Adam Bant standing next to a chauffeur-driven Commonwealth limo. But I didn't see the car arrive, and I didn't see Adam get out of the car. He was oh wow. The Corellas or the Cockies, I'm not sure which, are flocking overhead. Fortunately, I avoided any bird splatter so far. Yes, I didn't see the Commonwealth limo pull up, so I'm not sure whether Adam got out of that car. I had seen a silver Mitsubishi Outlander go past, and I had some months ago, last year, I had seen Adam getting into a parked Mitsubishi Outlander just around the corner from here, and I thought that Outlander this morning might have been Adam arriving, but I have no confirmation of that. To get back to what I will post with this video, the clip of Adam standing next to the chauffeur-driven Commonwealth BMW. If he did in fact arrive in a chauffeur-driven Commonwealth limo, I am somewhat intrigued at his later in-studio commentary about how important it is for Australia to do everything possible to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Now, just over there, within 30 metres or so of the front door of their ABC, is a tram stop. If Adam Bant gave the tram a miss and instead took a chauffeur-driven Commonwealth BMW limousine to arrive at their ABC this morning, I can only suggest that he's an absolute hypocrite. David Spears did during the interview take Adam to task and specifically ask whether the details of the Greens' purported $60 billion odd advantage to Australia by shutting down coal mining. Further review of what Adam said would be advantageous, but I don't think anyone honestly believes that shutting down coal mining in Australia will be to our economic advantage. Given the employment that's generated in particularly in the Hunter Valley coal mines, but elsewhere in Australia, but the tax and royalty revenues. Adam did make some reference to coal exports to China. It's my recollection that China has pretty much stopped taking Australian coal, following 2 years ago when the Morrison government sought Chinese cooperation in working out the source of the COVID pandemic and how it spread around the world. The Chinese government, the Chinese Communist government, was very unimpressed that someone should question their transparency on that issue, and proceeded to stop importing lots of our products: lobsters, wine, barley, I believe, coal. But interestingly enough, they have continued to import lots of Australian iron ore from the People's Republic of Western Australia. Mark McGowan seems to get on very well with Chairman Mao. In my opinion, Australians have to pick whose side they're on. They're either on Chairman Xi's side or Australia's side. In any case, Australia could shut down our entire economy, and it would make no discernible difference to global CO2 emissions, whilst Chairman Xi's regime and other countries around the world are still increasing their use of fossil fuels. I find it disgraceful that individuals like Adam Bandt purport to spruik their green credentials, while they may well have arrived, for example, at the ABC this morning via chauffeur-driven Commonwealth limo, while there's a tram stop just near the entrance. Bill Thompson for Outside Insiders. Just think of the greenhouse gas emissions and the extraordinary expense to taxpayers that Adam Bandt embodies. Well, there goes the Commonwealth limo. That's a big seagull. Okay. 747 goes over. To Singapore Airlines cargo from Auckland to Melbourne. Left Auckland 3 hours and 25 minutes ago. Congratulations on your performance in the show this morning. I totally support the idea of an inquiry into Australia's contribution to the Afghan involvement.
Well, thank you. I think the politicians could do with reviewing their role in it.
I agree totally. And may I ask if you have a recollection that it was Donald Trump's intention that the US military stay at Bagram Air Base following his planned withdrawal from Afghanistan?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't swear to that. I can't remember the details, but they certainly withdrew from Bagram.
They did. Well, Biden allowed the withdrawal from Bagram.
That certainly happened under Biden, yes.
Yeah.
And they also negotiated with the Taliban without involving the Afghan government, and they accused the Afghan soldiers of folding when the Afghan soldiers folded because they were really given no other option.
Indeed. Was it the Panjshir Valley where they hoped to hold out, and the Taliban overran them? Look, it was an absolute tragedy. I was in the US on September 11th.
So was I.
Where were you?
I was with John Howard in Washington DC covering his visit. I wrote a book about the politics of the contribution. It was published on the 10th anniversary in September 2011. It's called An Unwinnable War, Australia and Afghanistan. And I went to Afghanistan 3 times as an embedded journalist as well.
Look, I must read your books, and
I reckon it holds up all right, even 20 years on.
Look, at the time, I totally supported the involvement of Australia as a response to September 11th. But I agree with you that a review should be undertaken as to how well or how poorly we did in the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Thanks very much for your time.
No worries.
Okay, bye. I very much appreciate Karen's willingness to stop and have a chat with me.